All right, new tonight here on The Current, we have a student partnership to talk about. A few years ago, we told you about a group of Augustana students who were helping out the city of Rock Island, searching for and replacing lead water pipes. It was all through Augustana's Upper Mississippi Center for Sustainable Communities and their Accelerator program. The program partners Augie students with cities, counties, even organizations who need help with projects. And since 2015, hundreds of students have taken part in that program. More than $1 million have been secured in local infrastructure and conservation funding. So now Augustana is looking for more partners and more projects. Here to explain is Dr. Michael Reisner, director of Augustana's Upper Mississippi Center. Dr. Reisner, thank you so much for being here with us. Where did the idea for this partnership come from?
Yeah, so the partnership came from when we set up the Upper Mississippi Center at the start. We really wanted to do two things. We wanted an interdisciplinary research center where it could reach across the different departments on campus, and we wanted it to get Augustana faculty and students outside the Augie bubble working on community needs.
Well, we'll talk about why you wanted to do that, get outside that bubble in just a second here, but we mentioned the lead water pipes project. What other things have your students worked on?
Yeah, so we partnered with Clinton on about a dozen projects back in 2015, and they range from looking at the feasibility of extending busing down to the Walmart to trying to address a local downtown traffic congestion problem. We also partnered with Scott County on trying to identify and address the child lead poisoning from lead paint. And then we've partnered with some smaller communities like Geneseo on looking at community satisfaction with government services and helping some small businesses downtown actually develop and implement some social marketing campaigns. So it really reaches across the different disciplines on campus.
Yeah, it's interesting. You cover both sides of the river. We just saw video from Port Byron when students were helping out over there. You do things in the rivers, in the fields, but like you said, social media and with businesses, it kind of covers the gamut. Does this mean you will work with students of any major?
Yeah, so what we do is right now we actually have a request for proposals out, and it's really community driven. So we are asking for their needs. So what are their needs or strategic priorities they could use help with? And then we reach out to faculty and we try to figure out student groups, if it's a co-curricular, like our Edge Center, where we can try to match the community's needs with learning on campus. So we do our best to match the projects that we can. Sometimes we don't have the expertise, but a lot of times we can address those through kind of a faculty mentored research team where there's faculty and maybe a group of students from different majors on campus that come together to approach a project or a need that we couldn't address in a specific class.
So are there guidelines when it comes to submitting an application?
So there are guidelines in the request for proposal. I would say the biggest guideline is if you have any interest at all, reach out to us and we will come to you and we can do a brainstorming session, walk you through the nuts and bolts, but really start to learn what your needs are and your strategic priorities. So that's the biggest thing. We really do want it to be advancing the community's needs and addressing their strategic priorities. That's what we're doing this for.
Well, let's talk about the why behind that. Why is it so important to you to try to get these Augie students out in the community that, they might not have grown up in or they might not be from?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I think it gives them a sense as students a chance to engage in the community they're in when they're in college. Instead of saying, well, wait till you get done in 4 years. And that builds a sense of belonging both between the students and the faculty. And they get that sense of belonging with some of the community leaders that they meet, and they help get some education from there. I would say what excites me is it's a challenge, it's an opportunity for students to take the knowledge and the skills that they've learned in class and apply them to a real world setting. And to really advance and hone their critical thinking skills. And at the same time, they're in a community, so they're going to be forced to engage with people with different perspectives and try to weave those different perspectives into whatever project they're working on. So those are the two places where it really, I think it helps students advance their learning to another level.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because nothing compares to hands-on learning.
So.
But before I let you go, I was really struck by something you said when you were talking about this program earlier. You said something like this requires authentic collaboration, which you said is a scarce resource right now. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I just think when the students go into these communities, they actually have to step back and listen and be empathetic and they may hear perspectives that are different for themselves, and to actually take those perspectives and step back and then put them in the context of the other maybe expert knowledge they're generating and the research they're doing, either a literature review or actually primary literature they're doing with the city, but then taking that knowledge and weaving it in with those different perspectives and actually coming up with solutions that meet as many of those different interests as they can, and maybe suspending their interest temporarily to advance what the community's needs are.
Well, it's incredible to see the impact that you guys have had over just 10 years. We just can't wait to see what happens over the next 10 years.
All right, well, thanks. It was great. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about the initiative.
Thank you so much for coming by. And for you guys at home, the deadline to apply to be a community partner is Saturday, November 15th. We have all the details for how you can apply up at WQAD.com underneath the As Seen on TV tab.